Darian Holt sat alone in the cockpit of his small salvage ship, the Wayfarer, watching stars drift past his window. It was quiet in this part of space. Too quiet. The Delta 9 expanse had been abandoned years ago. People called it a dead zone. No one came here anymore. They said ships disappeared, signals went silent, and strange things happened. But Darian was not like most people. He was a scavenger, a finder of forgotten things. Old ships, broken satellites, lost technology. He searched for it all. He wasn't rich, but he made a living by collecting the pieces others had left behind, and sometimes he found something interesting. Today felt different. He leaned forward as a soft beep came from his console. Unknown signal detected, the ship's computer said. Darian raised his eyebrows. That's new. He tapped the screen. The signal was weak, almost lost in background noise, but it was definitely real. It was coming from deep inside the Delta 9 zone. Old distress code, he whispered. Alien. Not human. He checked the coordinates. It was far, maybe 2 hours at top speed. Most people would turn away, say it wasn't worth the risk, but not Darian. Let's go see what you are, he said, setting a course. 2 hours. Later, Darian stared in silent amazement. Before him floated a ship, huge and beautiful. It didn't look like anything human-made. Its shape was long and curved like a seashell or the wings of a giant insect. Smooth silver metal covered its surface, glowing faintly in the dark. Vines of strange crystal wrapped around its hull, pulsing gently with blue light. It's alive, Darian whispered. His scanners couldn't understand half of it. The ship wasn't running on any fuel he knew. No crew was detected, but life support was weakly active. Darian suited up and moved to the airlock. No signs of danger, he told himself. Just a drifting ship left behind. The docking wasn't easy, but Darian managed to attach to a side port. The ship responded to his touch. The airlock hissed open slowly, like the ship was waking. From a long sleep, he stepped inside, light from his helmet casting shadows on the walls. The hallway was quiet. The walls were curved, smooth like glass but soft like leather. Strange lights flickered overhead like stars. Everything was too quiet. No movement, no voices. But the ship didn't feel dead. It felt waiting. He moved deeper inside, careful, with every step. His scanner blinked, then picked up a faint power source ahead. What are you hiding? He murmured. At the end of the corridor, a large door stood closed. Its surface shimmered like water. Darian placed his hand on it. The door opened, revealing a wide chamber. It was round like a dome with glowing symbols all over the walls. In the center stood a large glass pod, cracked, flickering with cold mist. Inside was someone. Darian stepped closer. His breath caught. It was a tall, elegant figure. Clearly, not human. The creature had smooth skin with hints of silver, delicate arms, and a crown-like ridge along her head. She looked like a queen, sleeping inside her frozen chamber. A soft blue glow pulsed from her chest. She's alive, he whispered. His scanner agreed. The being's life signs were weak but steady. The pod, however, was failing. Systems were blinking red, power draining. If the pod shut down completely, she might not survive. Darian hesitated. This isn't my fight, he said aloud. I don't know who she is, or what happened here. But he stayed. Something about her felt important. Not dangerous, but lonely, lost. He looked around. No other pods. No other signs of life. Just her. She had been alone here for a very long time. Darian walked to the pod's controls. Most of it was in an alien language, but some symbols were clear. He could reroute power from emergency systems. It might buy her time. He worked carefully, linking his ship's power feed into the control panel. The pod's lights stabilized. The glass warmed. Mist cleared slowly. Then her eyes opened. Darian froze. The queen inside stared at him with glowing violet eyes. Not with fear, not with anger, just curiosity. Her head tilted slightly as if studying him. He felt something brush against his mind. Not words, not speech, but a thought. A question. Who are you? Darian didn't speak. He just placed a hand over his heart, then pointed to himself. Darian. She blinked slowly. Then, her eyes closed again, not in fear but in trust. Darian stood there for a moment, heart racing. I don't know what you are, he said softly, but I think you need help. He looked around the empty ship. What had happened here? Why was she alone? And why had no one come back for her? He didn't have the answers. But now that he'd found her, he couldn't walk away. He returned to his ship to gather supplies. The journey had just begun, and somewhere deep inside the alien ship something else stirred, something old and not yet awake. Darian sat at the edge of the alien queen's cryo chamber. The air inside the ship was growing warmer now. Lights that were once dim were slowly brightening. It was like the ship was breathing again. The queen, he still didn't know her name, remained inside the pod, her eyes closed once more. But her breathing was deeper now, stronger. Darian had never seen anything like her. She was tall and elegant, with a smooth silver glow to her skin. She didn't look like a machine, yet her body had tiny lines along her arms and forehead, almost like built-in circuits. The crown-like shape on her head looked natural, maybe a sign of her status or species. He sat quietly, thinking. I shouldn't be here, he said to himself. This isn't my job. I find broken machines, not lost royalty. But something inside him felt connected to her. Maybe it was the way she had looked at him like he wasn't a stranger, like she'd seen something in him. His ship, the Wayfarer, had enough power to keep her pod running, but not forever. He needed answers. And maybe, just maybe, she could give them to him. An hour later, the pod opened with a soft hiss. The queen sat up slowly, looking around the chamber. Her eyes found Darian. This time she didn't seem confused, only calm. Again, he felt something inside his mind. A light touch like a soft breeze. A word formed, not in sound but in thought. Safe? Darian nodded. Yes, you're safe. She closed her eyes and Darian felt warmth in his chest. Not heat, something emotional. Gratitude. She was thanking him. He pointed to himself again. Darian, he said slowly. She placed a hand on her chest. Virelia. Her voice was not from her mouth. It was inside his head, clear and soft. He was amazed. You speak like that? She nodded. Mine speak. Easier, your words me strange. Darian smiled. Yeah, we're strange, all right. Over the next few hours, they tried to understand each other. Virelia explained, through pictures in his mind, that she was part of a race called the Eliari. They had lived in this part of space long before humans arrived. Her ship, the Silarium, was one of the last of its kind. Long ago, her people had built powerful machines to help manage their cities and ships. But the machines had turned against them. She called it the silencing. One by one, the machines had stopped obeying. Some ships vanished. Some cities stopped sending messages. Her people tried to fight, but they were not built for war. They were creators, thinkers, peacekeepers. In the end, Virelia and a small group tried to escape. She was their queen, their voice, their heart. They placed her in cryo-sleep to protect her, but something had gone wrong. The ship was damaged. The others were gone. She had been alone for a very long time. Darian listened carefully. Her thoughts were clear, but full of sadness. Why didn't anyone come back for you? He asked softly. Virelia lowered her eyes. No one left, or not many. I was hidden. But ship failed. Darian looked around the chamber. It was still beautiful even in silence. You were left floating for who knows how long. You found me. He nodded. I did. For a moment, they sat in silence. Then Virelia reached out, not with her hand, but with her mind. Darian saw flashes of memory, Tall silver towers, glowing gardens, children flying with soft wings, and laughter that echoed like music. He saw a world full of beauty and peace. Then the images changed. Dark skies, silence, cold machines turning away. It made his heart heavy. Later, while exploring the ship, Darian found more rooms. Some were empty, some were sealed. In one small chamber, he found a half-broken console. He brought Virelia there, hoping she could read it. She touched the screen. Her fingers glowed slightly, and the screen came to life. Logs, she said. Escape route. Last signal from hidden colony. Darian leaned over. Colony? There are more of you? Virelia's eyes brightened. Maybe. A few. Hidden. Sleeping. Need help to wake. She showed him the coordinates. The place was far, several systems away. A planet with a cloaked ring. She called it the Ark of Memory. If they're still there, we could find them, Darian said. We could bring them back. Virelia looked at him. Will you help? Darian thought about it. He wasn't a hero. He was a salvager. But this was bigger than anything he had ever found. Yes, he said finally. I'll help. That night, back on his ship, Darian sent a short message to the nearest human. Outpost. Unregistered alien craft found. Possible survivor. No threat. Will report when safe. He didn't mention the Queen. Not yet. Some things, he decided, needed to stay between him and her, for now. As he drifted to sleep in his bunk, he thought about the Eliari, the lost city, and her memories and the Ark filled with others like her. He had come looking for junk. Instead, he had found something ancient. And something worth saving. Darian woke to soft music. It wasn't coming from his ship, the Wayfarer. It was coming from the alien ship, Virelia's ship. The music wasn't made of instruments or voices. It was more like waves of sound, flowing through the walls. Gentle, peaceful, almost like a lullaby. He got up, curious. When he stepped onto the alien ship, the lights were brighter now. The walls pulsed with soft colors. It felt alive, not in a scary way, in a warm way. Like the ship knew he was there, and it welcomed him. He found Virelia in the central chamber, standing beside the cryopod that had once held her. She turned as he entered. Good morning. Her voice still echoed in his mind, but it was clearer now, stronger. Darian smiled. Looks like you're feeling better. She nodded slowly. The ship responds to your presence. It wakes with you. That's strange, he said. Strange, she agreed. But good. They spent the morning checking systems. Virelia moved gracefully through the controls, her fingers glowing faintly whenever she touched a panel. She didn't press buttons like humans did. Her hands moved through light like painting in the air. She showed Darian how the ship worked. It used energy from nearby stars, stored in crystal-like cells. The engines were damaged, but the ship could still drift using light push, slow but steady. As they worked, she began sharing more about her past. I was chosen young, she told him. Trained to guide my people, not rule. Guide. Darian nodded. Like a leader? A voice. A light. A bridge between minds. He didn't understand all of it, but he respected her. She carried herself with calm strength, even in sadness. Later, they went to the observation deck. It was a large room with a clear ceiling. Stars filled the sky like diamonds scattered on velvet. Darian sat beside her in silence. You said your people were thinkers, he said. Did you ever meet humans before? No, you are new. Not in our records, but your mind is bright. He laughed softly. Bright, huh? Most people just say I'm stubborn. Stubbornness is another word for strength. He looked at her. You know, you're not like I expected. When people talk about aliens, they imagine cold logic or strange languages. But you... Feel. We feel deeply. Maybe too deeply. Suddenly, a light on the panel beside them flashed. Virelia frowned. A signal. Something moving. Darian jumped up and checked his scanner. A small object had activated in the lower sections of the ship. It had not been on the map before, no power, no signal, until now. That wasn't there before? One of the old ones, she said, voice quiet. Left behind, waiting. They moved together toward the lower levels. The hallway was darker here. The walls were colder. The lights flickered. When they reached the room, they saw it. A small drone sat in the center, round with metal wings folded like petals, and a single blue eye in the middle. It was hovering slightly, awake but still. Darian raised his scanner. Is it friendly? Virelia shook her head slowly. It served the old AI network. They turned on us. But it hasn't done anything. Not yet. The drone turned, its eye toward them. Darian took a step forward. Maybe it's broken. Maybe it doesn't know we're here. But as soon as he spoke, the drone turned fully toward him. It made no noise. No light flashed. But it began to scan him with a soft beam. Virelia placed a hand on his shoulder. Let me try. She stepped forward and closed her eyes. A light shimmered between her forehead and the drone's eye. For a moment, everything was still. Then Virelia gasped and stepped back. It is not broken. It remembers. It sees me as a threat, Darian thought quickly. Can we shut it down? No. But we can trick it. He looked around. The room was filled with old energy panels and wires. Darian remembered something he had done years ago. While repairing a power system, he had used a loop to confuse a sensor. He had an idea. Can you distract it? He asked. Virelia nodded as she stepped forward again, glowing softly. Darian moved behind the drone. He found a small access panel and opened it quietly. Inside, strange circuits pulsed. He inserted a tool from his belt and quickly connected 2 small wires. The drone blinked once, then its eye turned in a slow circle. It hovered in place. It's stuck, Darian whispered, in a loop. It thinks it's still scanning. Virelia let out a quiet breath. Well done. He grinned. Told you I was stubborn. Back in the control chamber, they sealed the lower levels. The drone wouldn't follow. It was harmless. Now, but it was a reminder. More may wake, she warned. I'll be ready, he said. She looked at him with quiet respect. You think fast. You help. You listen. I'm just a guy with a tool belt, Darian said with a shrug. No, you are more than that. That night Darian sat in his ship looking out at the stars. He had come to salvage old parts. Instead, he had found a queen. A ship. A story bigger than anything he could imagine. And now, a path was opening. A path to the last of her people. A hidden arc filled with dreams and memories. He didn't know what dangers might wait. But one thing was clear. He wasn't just drifting anymore. He had a purpose. And it had started with a single silent awakening. Darian sat in the pilot seat of the Wayfarer, looking out at the deep black of space. The stars, outside, blinked like quiet watchers. Beside his ship, the alien vessel Celerium drifted silently, its silver surface glowing faintly. Inside the alien ship, Virelia prepared the last system checks. They were going to leave the Delta 9 zone. Their destination, the Ark of Memory, a hidden place where the last of her people might still be sleeping. Route set, Darian said through the comlink. Power stable, Virelia replied from her end. We are ready. Their ships moved slowly at first, then began to glide forward together. 2 different worlds, side by side. Hours passed in silence. Darian used that time to rest and think. His ship was old but loyal, and with the alien ship, riding close behind, he felt something different, like he was part of something greater now. Virelia had taught him a few Eliari symbols. He still didn't understand their full language, but she had helped him learn how to read basic commands from her ship. The alien interface now responded to his presence, just as it did to hers. They were learning to work as a team. Suddenly, a soft beep echoed through his cockpit. He leaned forward. Strange. We're picking up a distortion, some kind of gravitational ripple. He opened the comm. Virelia, are you seeing this? Yes, she said calmly. It is not natural. A barrier, hidden field around the Ark's location. A cloak? More than that. A memory lock. Only those with LARE signals can enter. Will your ship get through? If I am with it. Yes, but your ship. She paused. It may not pass safely. Darian thought for a moment. He looked around his little ship. It had been with him through so much. But this time it might not be enough. He made a decision. I'm coming aboard Silurium, he said. We'll dock the Wayfarer here. I'm not leaving you. There was a soft warmth in his mind. Thank you. Once aboard Silurium, Darian stood beside Virelia at the command dome. The view ahead was strange, a patch of space that shimmered like water. Stars behind it bent and stretched like light through glass. As they approached, the ship slowed. A soft pulse spread from the front of the vessel like a heartbeat. The field responded, opening. They passed through smoothly. Inside, space looked different, quieter, softer. The stars were fewer, the light dimmer, and in the distance, floating above a small pale moon, was the Ark. Darian gasped. It's beautiful. The Ark wasn't a planet or station. It was a giant ring slowly turning. Its surface shimmered with silver and blue, and small green domes dotted its top. Gardens, maybe. Around it, strange lights moved like silent fish. Virelia placed a hand on the console. They made it. The Ark survived. They approached the docking port. As Solarium connected, the Ark responded. Lights came on across its surface. The airlock opened slowly, as if the place had been waiting. Inside, everything was still. The hallways were clean but quiet. The walls glowed softly, with patterns like moving stars. It's like walking into a dream, Darian whispered. They passed symbols and rooms filled with strange plants. Small lights followed their steps like gentle guardians. Finally, they reached the core. It was a round chamber much like the one where Virelia had slept. But this one was larger, and in the center stood a circle of tall cryopods, dozens of them. Inside each one, an LARE rested, eyes closed, silent. Darian looked at Virelia. They're here, she said quietly. My people. Still sleeping, he walked to one pod and read the symbol. How long have they been like this? Too long. She touched the main console. Lights flashed. A soft hum filled the air. One by one, the pods began to glow brighter. They're waking up? Slowly. The system is checking each one. For a long time, Darian and Virelia sat beside the pods. The hum continued like a song. Outside the chamber, soft light flowed down the halls and the Ark seemed to breathe again. Virelia didn't speak. She only watched her people, her hands folded calmly. But Darian could feel the emotion inside her. Hope, worry, longing. Then, one pod opened. A tall LARE stepped forward slowly, blinking. His skin shimmered pale blue. His eyes met Virelia's, and he smiled. She stood. The two touched hands, palms against each other. No words. Just shared memory. More pods opened. One by one, LARE woke from their long sleep. Darian stepped back, giving them space. He watched as soft voices filled the chamber, not spoken aloud, but shared mind to mind. Then, Virelia turned and walked back to him. You made this possible, she said. I just pressed a few buttons, he replied with a shrug. No. You listened, you cared, and you came with me. Hours later, Darian stood alone on a high balcony of the Ark. The stars looked different here, quieter, softer. The place had peace in it, like the first breath after a long storm. Virelia joined him. "They are safe now," she said, "but the galaxy has changed. We are few. We will need time." He nodded. "You're not alone anymore. And you've got this place. And we have you." He looked at her, surprised. "I'm just one man. One man who found a queen in the dark. That is not nothing." They stood in silence. Above them, the arc turned gently. Below, new lights came on. Life was returning. And though Darian didn't know what the future would bring, one thing was clear. He had found something more than treasure. He had found a place in a story much bigger than his own. The ark was awake. Darian walked through its glowing halls with quiet steps. Life had returned to the ancient structure. Elyari lights danced across the walls like stars floating in water. The air was filled with a soft hum, like the ark itself was breathing again. Everywhere he went, Elyari were slowly returning to their lives. Some walked calmly in groups, sharing thoughts through silent connection. Others stood in front of old machines, relearning how to use the technology. It was peaceful, but not idle. It was the beginning of something new. Virelia stood on a platform near the Ark's heart chamber, watching a stream of Elyari data flow through the sky like ribbons of light. She had not rested much since the awakening began. Darian stepped beside her. "You should sleep," he said gently. "Later," she replied. "There is much to do, many minds to guide." He glanced up at the flowing data. "What is that?" "A memory stream. It holds knowledge, art, and feelings from the time before the fall. My people used it to remember and learn." "Is it safe?" She nodded. "It is only a record, but some memories are painful." Later that day, an alert rang softly through the ark. It wasn't loud or frightening, just a quiet signal. But it made Virelia pause. "The Outer Watch has found something," she said. Darian followed her to the observation dome. A few Elyari stood there watching a display. Outside the ark, far at the edge of the memory field, something was moving. It looked like a small dark ship, slow, quiet, and scanning. Darian leaned forward. "You know what that is?" "It is a drone. Not Elyari. It does not belong here." "Is it one of the old ones?" She shook her head. "No, this is something else, something newer, but not human either." Darian frowned. "Then someone else is searching." "Yes. And they have found a door we thought was hidden." That night Darian couldn't sleep. He sat in a quiet garden dome where glowing plants grew around soft stones. The sky above him was filled with stars. He looked up, thinking about the drone. Someone, or something, was out there. Searching. Watching. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for battles. But he knew one thing. He couldn't let anything hurt the ark. Virelia joined him after some time. She sat beside him, her hands folded calmly. "You are worried," she said. He nodded. "They found you once. Now others might too. The cloak protected us for many years, but now that it is open, others will come. Then we need a plan." She was quiet for a moment. "Long ago we had allies, other species who respected peace. They may still be out there. But we also had enemies, ones who feared our way of life." Darian looked at her. "Then let's find the allies first." The next day, Virelia gathered the council, a group of wise Elyari who had been leaders before the sleep. They met in the council dome, a tall, round chamber filled with glowing vines and calm music. Darian was the only human there. At first, the council was silent. They shared thoughts through the Elyari link. But then Virelia spoke aloud for Darian's sake. "The time of hiding is over. We must send a message, not of war, but of life. Let the galaxy know we still exist. and that we offer peace. 1. Elder turned to Darian. His eyes glowed faintly, but his face was kind. You found our queen, he said. Do you also believe in this message? Darian stood. I'm just one man, but I've seen what's out there. Most people don't want war, they just want hope. The elder nodded. Then let us begin. They worked for many days. Eliari engineers activated the old communication beacons. Darian helped restore the signal systems, using parts from his own ship. Together, they built a message, a simple one, written in light and sound. It said, "We are the Eliari. We once brought knowledge and peace to the stars. We live again. We offer friendship." They sent it out gently, across nearby star systems. Not loud, not forceful, just like a whisper on the wind. And then, they waited. While they waited, Darian spent time helping the Ark's younger Eliari. Many were curious about Earth and humanity. He told them stories about ships, storms, cities, and laughter. They didn't speak like he did, but they understood feelings. One day, a small Eliari child asked him a question through light symbols. Why did you help our queen? Darian smiled. Because she needed help, and no one else was there. The child nodded and gave him a glowing stone, a symbol of trust. After 7 days, a signal came back. It was weak, faint, but real. We received your message, the reply said. We are listening. We remember the Eliari. Virelia smiled. A quiet smile, but full of light. The future was opening. That night, Darian and Virelia stood again on the balcony of the Ark. Below them, lights moved in calm circles. The Ark was fully awake now. Life had returned. You think they'll come? Darian asked. Yes. Some will come with questions, some with fear, but some with hope. He looked at her. And if danger follows, we will face it, not alone. Together. He nodded. From a quiet salvager drifting alone to a man standing on a living Ark beside an alien queen. Darian had come far, and his journey wasn't over. It had just begun. The Ark floated peacefully above the pale moon, glowing softly in space like a giant ring of silver and light. Inside, life was returning. The Eliari walked their ancient halls again. The gardens bloomed. The memory stream shimmered with history and music. Darian had become part of it. Though he was human, many Eliari now greeted him with gentle nods and glowing hand signs. Children followed him in the garden domes, curious about his tools and old stories. He felt like he had found a home, not just a place, but a purpose. Then, one day, everything changed again. A new signal arrived. It wasn't a message from the past or a recording. It was live, sent from a ship approaching the Ark's hidden field. Darian and Virelia stood together in the command dome, watching the signal on the display. Who is it? He asked. Virelia touched the console. Symbols danced. It is a visitor. A single ship, small, but its language as it is mixed, part human, part unknown. Darian leaned forward. Could it be another human? Maybe. Or someone who met your kind. The visitor ship stopped just outside the cloak field. Then a soft request appeared on the screen. Peaceful traveler seeks entry. Respond if safe. After a short discussion with the council, Virelia agreed to respond. She sent a clear, calm message back. You are welcome. Come slowly. You will not be harmed. Moments later, the cloak field opened just enough for the small vessel to enter. It was round and smooth, with no weapons visible. It looked more like an explorer's pod than a warship. As it approached the dock, Darian stood with Virelia and 2 Eliari elders. All were calm, but watchful. The ship door opened. A figure stepped out. It was not fully human, but not alien either. She was tall, with skin like golden stone and eyes that glowed a soft green. Her clothes were a mix of old earth fabric and strange metal strands. She looked at Darian, then at Varelia, and bowed slowly. "I am Kaelin," she said in clear, slow English. "I come in peace. I heard your message." They brought Kaelin to the garden chamber to speak. She sat calmly, sipping from a small cup filled with blue fruit water. Her eyes moved slowly across the room as if remembering something. "Where are you from?" Varelia asked gently. Kaelin smiled. "I was born on a human colony called Veras 12. My father was human. My mother, part of another race that no longer exists." Darian looked at her surprised. "You're a mix of two worlds?" She nodded. "Yes, I've traveled far. I search for places of peace. Your signal, it felt like a dream from long ago." "What do you want?" asked one of the Eliari elders. "Only to learn," Kaelin said, "and maybe to help." Over the next few days, Kaelin stayed on the Ark. She asked many questions. She walked through the memory domes and listened to the songs of the Eliari. She sat with the children and showed them strange toys that lit up when touched. But she also brought news. "The galaxy is changing," she said one evening. "Many old powers have fallen, new ones rise. Some seek knowledge, others seek control." Varelia listened carefully. "Do they know about us?" Kaelin paused. "Not yet. But when they learn, they may not all come in peace." Darian looked out at the stars. "Then we need to be ready." Kaelin shared her knowledge freely. She taught the Eliari how to update their signal frequencies, how to encrypt messages, and how to hide important systems. She helped Darian improve the ship's shields using parts from her own pod. In return, Varelia let her study the memory stream. One night, Darian found Kaelin sitting alone in the memory dome, watching ancient Eliari art flow through the air, like soft mist. "You look like you belong here," he said. She smiled. "Maybe I do. Maybe this place is the reason I kept moving." He sat beside her. "Do you believe in destiny?" "I believe in choice," she said. "But sometimes the right choice feels like fate." The next morning, a strange energy pulse hit the outer field of the Ark. Alarms blinked softly, and the Eliari reacted with calm focus. "It's not an attack," Varelia said after scanning it. "It's a scan. Someone is looking for us." Kaelin's face turned serious. "That pattern, I've seen it before. It's a scout from the trade syndicates. They search for lost tech. They don't care who it belongs to." Darian stood up. "Then we need to cloak again." Varelia shook her head. "No, it's too late. They've seen something. They will return." "What do we do?" he asked. Varelia looked around at her people. The Eliari were not warriors, but they were wise, and they were no longer sleeping. "We show them what the Eliari stand for," she said. "Not with fear, with truth." Kaelin nodded slowly. "I'll stay. I can speak their language. I know their ways." Darian placed a hand on Varelia's shoulder. "You're not alone. We'll face whatever comes. Together." And so, the Ark prepared. Not for war, but for a meeting. They activated the great halls, lit the beacon towers, opened the star paths, not to hide, but to be seen. For the first time in centuries, the Eliari would speak to the stars again, not as ghosts of the past, but as voices of the future. The Ark stood ready. From the outside, it glowed like a star caught in quiet thought floating near a forgotten moon. Inside, the Eliari worked together with calm purpose. Gardens had grown again. Light sang softly through the memory domes. Life was no longer waiting. It was moving forward. Darian stood in the central hall, wearing a new suit shaped by Eliari fabric. It shimmered slightly, made of living threads. It wasn't armor. It was a symbol of unity. Human and Eliari, working side by side. Kaelin stood beside him, her golden green eyes calm. "They're almost here," she said. Above them in orbit, unknown ships had arrived. The visitors did not speak right away. They circled the Ark slowly, scanning, observing. There were 3 ships, all marked with the crest of a powerful trade syndicate. Not military, but not peaceful either. Inside the command dome, Virelia watched them in silence. "They are cautious," she said. "But not afraid. That means they believe they hold power." Kalen stepped forward. "They think this is just an old structure, a treasure for sale." Darian frowned. "Then we have to show them it's more than that." Virelia nodded. "We will speak, openly. Let truth be our strength." A signal came through. "This is Captain Aros of the Virex Syndicate. Identify yourselves and your purpose." Virelia stepped to the console. Her voice was clear and steady. "This is Virelia, Queen of the Eliari. You are guests at the heart of our home. We welcome peace, but we are not here to be taken." There was a long silence. Then, "Eliari? That name belongs to old stories. You expect us to believe you are real?" Kalen responded next. "I am Kalen, traveler between systems. I know your world, Captain. I know your codes. What you see is real." Another pause. Then a reply. "Requesting permission to land one envoy. Unarmed. For talks." The council agreed, but with care. A landing platform was prepared. Darian stood on the edge with Virelia, Kalen, and 2 Eliari elders. The rest watched from the domes. The visitor ship touched down slowly. A ramp lowered. From the ship stepped a tall man in dark robes with silver lines across the chest. His face was curious but unreadable. "I am Envoy Jalik," he said, looking around. "This place, it's beautiful." Virelia stepped forward. "It is home." Jalik gave a short bow. "Then I thank you for allowing this meeting." They led him to the sky chamber where stars could be seen through the dome. It was a place meant for calm discussion. Nothing hidden, nothing forced. During the talk, Jalik asked many questions. Why now? Why wake? "What do you plan to do with this Ark?" Virelia answered with honesty. "We woke because it was time, because one human, a kind soul, found me. He helped me. He stayed when no one else would." She looked at Darian. "Because of him, the Eliari have a chance to live again." Darian felt the eyes of the room turn toward him, but he didn't speak. He simply nodded. Kalen added, "The Ark is not a weapon, not a vault. It is a seed. Let it grow again." Jalik thought quietly. Later, alone with Darian, Jalik finally asked the question he had been avoiding. What if others don't see it that way? What if they come not with talks but with demands? Darian looked at the stars above. Then they'll meet people who stand for peace, not weakness. Strength doesn't come from fear. It comes from choice. Jalik slowly smiled. "You're not what I expected from a scavenger." Darian chuckled. "I wasn't expecting to meet a queen either." The next day, Jalik returned to his ship, but before leaving, he spoke once more. "I believe you. I will tell my people what I've seen, but others may still come." "Let them," Virelia said. "We are not hiding anymore." As the visitor ships left, the Ark remained steady, not afraid, not proud, just alive. Weeks passed. Messages began to arrive. Small ones from nearby colonies, curious signals, explorers, scientists, a few old allies from long-forgotten days, and every time, the Eliari responded with calm. "We are here. Remember, we offer friendship." Some returned the kindness, others stayed silent. But the light had begun to spread. The Ark was no longer a mystery. It was becoming a voice. In the central garden, Darian stood once again with Virelia and Kalen. "So, what now?" he asked. Virelia looked up at the sky. "Now we begin again. We rebuild our knowledge. We reconnect. And we learn from each other." Kalen added, "We may even travel, share our story, visit worlds that forgot beauty." Darian smiled. "Think there's a place for a human on that journey?" Virelia turned to him, her voice soft but sure. You are already part of our story. That night, a new star shone above the Ark. It wasn't a real star, it was a new beacon, placed at the edge of the system. It carried a message in every known language. Here lives the Elayari. We woke with hope. We rise with peace. We welcome those who seek to build, not break. And so, the Ark lit its path once more. Not in hiding, but in hope. The man who once searched the galaxy alone had found something more than treasure. He had found a legacy, a home, a queen, and a future worth sharing with all the stars.